Hi there, Sherry Schreiber of GettingBetter.com. And in my last video, Sherry Schreiber versus the California Board of Psychology, I mentioned that I wanted to do a video about SIDS, Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. This happens to many babies. They just die in the crib. There's no medical reason that points to why they should be dying in the crib, but they die. And I formulated my own opinions about that based on the kind of bond we form in utero with our birth mothers and how that bond is broken in the first few days of life outside of her womb. Now, in third world countries, we have women keeping their infants with them at all times. They sleep with them, beside them. They carry them on their backs in a little kind of a papoose or sling kind of thing. When they're working in fields, when they intuit that the baby is hungry, they swing that little sling around, that papoose, that little cloth holder, and they let the baby suckle at their breast and get its nourishment. When they intuit that the baby needs to poop or pee, they take the cloth out from under their bottoms and let them poop and pee in the fields. But that baby is constantly with the mother. She's never or he's never separated from the mother. Now, we don't do it that way in America. We have our little baby, and weeks and months before the baby arrives, the date of birth, we're fixing up a nursery, and we're building a crib, and we're making it so pretty and cute and nice in the fucking nursery, which the baby is never going to care about. That's our egos. They care about that. And we come home from the hospital, and we plunk that poor little baby in a crib all by itself to sleep all night without us, or hours on end without us. Now, you've seen where I've talked about in utero bonding in a couple of my website articles, the borderline personality client article I talk about in utero bonding. My article, it's always at the top of my articles page, my keystone article, Do You Love to Be Needed or Need to Be Loved? I talk about in utero bonding in those two articles, how we fall in love with our mothers before we're even born. There's this incredible strong bond that we feel with her. Why? Because we're floating around inside of her for 8-9 months. And we hear the rhythmic sounds of her breathing, and we hear the rhythmic sounds of her heartbeat. And many, many times they lull us to sleep while we're developing as fetuses inside of her. We share her oxygen and her blood supply. We co-experience all her emotional states with her. Everything she feels, we feel. At the same exact time she feels it. If our mother is a worrywart, if she's always anxious and concerned and scared, we're going to very likely have anxiety problems in this lifetime. Because that was the predominant emotion we were exposed to in utero. These are my theories. You can take them or leave them. But I'm the kind of person who's always looked for answers that made sense to me within the realm of human behavior and human behavior anomalies. And this just is so obvious to me. We form that intimate bond in utero with our mother. Once we come out of the womb, now remember, we've been sleeping inside her for months and months and months as we've developed. We felt all these emotional states right along with her. As far as we're concerned, there's no separation between her and us. No separation. She is me and I am her in utero. We come out of the womb and she sticks us down the hall in a lovely little, beautifully decorated and painted, with very nice, cute little furniture, nursery. To sleep all alone, by ourselves. To me, that's abandonment trauma. Jesus, God. To me, that's abandonment trauma right then and there. Or our mommy has postpartum depression, and she shames herself for not feeling in love with us, not being able to love us. And she's depressed, deeply, deeply depressed. Wow, major hormone fluctuations after you give birth. So that's part of it. But postpartum depression. Women feel very guilty. Why can't I love this child of mine? And they self-flagellate about it, and that's what perpetuates the depression. So what resources does she have to share with her infant? How can she bond outside of the womb with that little baby? How can that baby bond with her? Oh, kids are resilient. Oh, babies are resilient. Oh, toddlers are so resilient. Oh, children are resilient. They bounce back. They don't even realize what's happening to them. That's a crock of horse shit. No words could ever be uttered that are less true than that. Children are sentient, sensitive, highly sensitized little beings. They feel everything that happens to them. They pick up on their mommy's vibration, on her mood. They feel everything. They just can't talk about it yet. They don't know how to form it into words in their head yet. What all those things mean, those feelings, those vibrations they're picking up on. But they feel them. Same with divorce. You go through a divorce, child feels it deeply, profoundly. But it's a hell of a lot better to separate than keep your kids living in a war zone or in a loveless, passionless marriage. That's cruel to a child. You're giving them an awful example of what marriage looks like, and they'll grow up and they'll replicate that for themselves one day and wonder why they're living lives of quiet desperation, kind of like their mom and dad did. SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. It's got to feel like death to a baby to be separated from its mommy this way. Death after 9 months in the womb. Death, emotional death. Rejection, abandonment. What's wrong with me? Doesn't she love me like I love her? Think about it, folks. There are classes today that young couples having babies are supposed to take. And these classes are to teach you that in the realm of attachment, you keep that baby with you at all times. You sleep, if you're coupled, you sleep with that baby in between you. Oh, what if I roll over and kill the baby? Not going to happen. And if you're sleeping that soundly, if you're that dead to the world that you would even think that could happen, how much are you drinking? How much weed are you smoking? What are you doing to numb out? My cats sleep with me. I'm aware of them during the night. I go to move around, shift my legs, I feel them beside me. I'm aware of those cats in my bed, on my bed, sleeping with me. You think you're not going to be aware of a baby? A newborn sleeping beside you, feeling your warmth, hearing your heartbeat, hearing you breathing? Oh, the baby says, I'm okay, I'm still attached. She loves me. I'm okay, I'm still attached. We are still one. No, there's no medical reason that can be cited for sudden infant death syndrome. It's emotional. In my view, it's completely emotional. That poor little baby has died of a broken heart. Now, I'm not blaming you people out there who've lost a child this way. I'm not. I know that there's very little education in the world that would have helped you prevent this horrible, tragic occurrence. I know you didn't know better. Nobody did. Nobody. Better hurry up, get the nursery painted, get everything ready, because Mama's coming home from the hospital tomorrow. Could there be anything more absurd than letting a newborn sleep by itself in a room down the hall? So these classes that are available now say, keep the baby in bed with you, sleep in bed with you for the first year of its life. Yeah. And then gradually put it on the side of the bed in its own little bassinet or crib right beside the bed. So it's within arm's length of you. And then very slowly, as the weeks pass, you move that bassinet or crib more and more toward the door. And then maybe at some point you keep the bedroom door open and that baby is right outside your bedroom door, but the door is wide open. That baby can still hear your sounds, even if you're making love, big deal. Can still hear you breathing, snoring, whatever. Knows that there's proximal closeness physically. You don't put a newborn by itself in a room and leave it to nap or sleep at night. That's ludicrous. That's absurd. That's criminal. And so the baby, perhaps, dies of a broken heart. That separation is unbearable for the poor little thing. It can't manage it, can't tolerate it, doesn't know how to make sense of it. All it feels is rejected and abandoned. And you're a very well-meaning couple of people. And I know this wasn't intentional. But put yourself in the baby's shoes for a minute. You form this intimate bond in utero for 9 frigging months with your mother. And now all of a sudden you're sleeping alone, all by yourself. No more heartbeat, do you hear? You can't feel her warmth and closeness next to you. You can't hear her breathing. It's absurd. It's tragic. And it's criminal that we are so fucking ignorant about this stuff. So if there's no real medical reason for this syndrome to exist, you've got to look deeper. You've got to consider empathically what's going on for that baby. And tell all your friends who are pregnant about this. It doesn't fucking matter if the nursery isn't finished. It doesn't, because that baby's not going to need that nursery for about a year. Of really, it's not going to need it. Some of my articles, I think I address this issue of object constancy. I know I talk about it at gettingbetter.com on my glossary page. Object constancy, up to a certain age of our development, could be months into our growth. When the mommy leaves us, puts us down for a nap, we have no idea she's coming back, ever. Causes us great anxiety. Object constancy is when the baby has finally figured out, after months of development, months, by the way, that when the mommy puts it down somewhere to go to sleep, or she puts it in its playpen to leave the room and go to the bathroom or something, that she's coming back. And this takes repeated exposure to that experience. Oh, you're back. You're back for me. Oh, thank goodness. But up until the time when we start trusting she's coming back for us, we have no object constancy. We have a memory of her, and we worry, and we're fearful that she is never returning for us. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. So when a child goes off to school for the first time, and they're hysterical, screaming, crying, holding onto mommy's legs so tight, just don't want to leave, it's because they were never able to develop object constancy when they were little. It's because they never came to trust that mommy was coming back for them. There wasn't enough, as it turns out, emotional attunement, bonding, holding, nurturing, to let that baby know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was safe, and that it mattered to the mommy, and that it was adored and cherished. It was left alone too much. At least these are my theories. Now I'm probably going to get some hate mail over this one. I wouldn't be surprised. Nobody wants the real truth. The truth hurts too much. You're not a bad parent if you had an infant that died. You just had bad doctors and bad nurses and bad advice from your parents and other relatives that didn't know anything about forming attachment bonds to an infant. So it didn't die in the crib for no medical reason. Okay, I'm getting down off my bandwagon now. I want to get you to think about this stuff. If you're a new mother, if you're about to give birth, don't let this happen to your baby. You must keep that baby with you at all times. Let it start trusting that you're there for it. Let it start trusting that it can depend on you and rely on you for comfort, for warmth, for nurturance. Borderlines couldn't do this with their mothers. Never could form a trusted bond. I'm hoping this can be educational for you. I'm hoping doctors and nurses and all manner of people, pediatricians, who are giving you prenatal care, can learn from this, talk to you about this stuff, make these suggestions to you, so that we don't keep having babies die in infancy for no good reason at all. Goodbye for now.